You got 50 wins on the horizon right now. How's it, does it say something different about this team versus last year?
Well, right now, I checked this morning, we're 49. We haven't got 50 wins yet, so I don't take anything for granted in this league. Nothing's easy. Everything's fleeting in this league. People change their minds every other minute around this league. So I don't take anything for granted, any player for granted, game for granted. So let's get ready for OKC tonight before we talk about 50 wins.
Speaking of OKC, what is about Russell that makes him so dominant all over the floor?
He's just his physical veracity. I mean, he's just a ferocious competitor. He's coming at you 100 miles an hour. His speed, quickness, athleticism is off the charts. He's been that way since he came out of college. I remember going against him at Dallas, and he was a young buck at that time, and we had old guys, and they were all complaining about how hard he played, and he hasn't changed one bit. He plays with a huge chip on his shoulder. That helps him be a great competitor, Doug. And, you've got to meet his force with your force and with multiple guys. One guy's not going to stop him from getting to where he wants to go. So we got to send multiple bodies to where he wants to go and make sure he sees walls all night. And that's the only way you're going to stop him. And, is he going to score? Yes. But he's going to have to score against 2 or 3 bodies in front of him.
Coach, what is the difference this year after the full season between this version of Billy Donovan's Oklahoma City Thunder? How have they changed to the trained eye?
Billy's a different person than Scotty. They're totally different people, coaches, but Durant is the same. Westbrook, you're not going to change his playing personality. So their playing personality as players are all the same. Like I said, Westbrook's coming at you 100 miles an hour. Durant is doing his thing with the basketball, bringing the ball down the floor, playing the 4 position, shooting the threes against your, smaller lineups. So their playing personality hasn't changed. They do a few subtle things differently, but they're a lot of the same team, and you're not going to change the whole personality of the guys you have. Steven Adams, Ibaka, all those guys are kind of the same people, and they're playing similar style of basketball with a few nuances that are different.
Are these good tests at this point in the season, not just OKC, but sort of these kind of tougher games that you have coming up, tough schedule?
Oh, yeah, they all are. There's no, for me, Josh, there's no easy games. I don't care. People talk about New Orleans. I'm looking at Brooklyn beat Indiana the other night. There's no easy games in this league. They're all professional players. We can make about who's playing, not playing, resting, all that stuff, or who's hurt. Every team in this league can beat any team, and if you don't approach it that way, if you get your head on your shoulders or your behind on your shoulders and start thinking, this is an easy game, that's when you're going to get knocked off. And I'm not going to allow our players, you guys can write what you want to write about different teams and who's hurt and all that, but we don't have the ability nor the respect of the league or whatever to go out and say, hey, we're going to play against so-and-so tonight without 2 players. And we got to go out with our total focus, total intensity each and every night. And we're getting better at that. We're not there yet, but we're getting better at that.
How important is rest going to be for this team down the stretch versus maybe fighting for first overall?
That's a fine line. That's a total fine line for me. I know that's the thing of the league right now. San Antonio has kind of spoiled it for everybody, but they have a Hall of Famers coming off the bench. They can leave guys back in San Antonio. We have a couple of guys that we got to watch more so than others. So we're in a little bit different situation. Rest is important, whether it's cutting back on practice time, minutes in a game. But we got to be careful with that because, rhythm is also very important. And if you look at the guys that have rested with us, it's a rhythm thing. It's not that they're, you come in after staying off 2 or 3 days and come back in. I don't care who you are, unless you're a special human being, your rhythm is affected a little bit. So we got to be careful with that. But rest is important, and going into the end of the season.
Coach, how important are these next 10 games, all things considered, and has the focus already switched to the playoffs now for you and the team?
No. If you've been around here at all whatsoever. Tonight's first possession is the most important thing to me and our staff and to our players. Again, we don't have the luxury of overlooking and looking down the road. We got to take care of business and continue, and we got to use these games to get better. I know it's boring. It's nothing exciting to to look at from that standpoint. But again, consistency and building winning habits is so huge for us because we're not there yet. We're still trying to build those winning habits. And people don't believe me, but we are a still growing team, and we got to take each game, each night, for our young guys to make sure they're getting better, more so than looking at 10 games down the road.
So what's key then in these next 10 games to build on so that when we get to the playoffs, we're there?
Well, I think is maintaining our rhythm offensively, maintaining our focus defensively, not being up and down defensively the way we've been the last couple of weeks. We've showed signs of playing good defense and then showed signs that like we've never seen it before. So keep maintaining that consistency is the most important thing over the next 10 games.
You try to win them all, you take everyone seriously, but how do you like how you've played against the really good teams in the league this year?
Again, it shouldn't be that, Bruce. It should be consistent. We shouldn't have to play one way one night against OKC or whoever, and next night against a team that has two guys out, play like crap. We got to come out to win big in this league and have an elite program. You've got to build that mentality where, you expect the same focus, the same effort, the same defensive intensity and offensive execution, no matter who you're playing. And that's what we're trying to build. They're trying to sell it. We didn't do a good job this year. We lost some games that we probably, should have won, but
Against good teams, you got the second best record in the NBA.
but again, it shouldn't be. The point I'm making, it shouldn't be that way. It should be consistency, and that's what we're building on. That's why the next 10 games we got to look at building consistency, and with guys, what they're doing defensively, what they're doing offensively, on every possession. And again, all the other things will take care of themselves if you do that.
I'll rephrase that.
Okay.
How do you like your consistency against the top 12 teams in the league, against whom you have the second best record in the NBA?
It's inconsistent. So, but no,
Because you've been really good against those teams.
Again,
that matters, doesn't it?
It matters, but again, it shouldn't be that way. It should be consistency. That's what we're thriving for in our program here. And until we get that, we won't be an elite program unless we build consistency on both ends of the floor.
How do you build consistency? What are some of the factors that you want players to keep in mind every day?
When you come out every night and you're keeping teams under 45% defensively, 44% defensively every night or close to it, and not letting teams get 58 and 59% each night, when your team is moving the basketball, playing on the weak side of the floor every night and not coming down and going one-on-one, now you're building consistency. And when you see that over a long period of time and not where it's up and down, that builds consistency.
50 wins is going to be a big deal for this franchise. I know it's not something you're probably talking about in the locker room, but if you could put it into perspective, what would it mean for this franchise to get that 50th
I can't
win?
because I'm not thinking about it. It's hard to talk about something you're not thinking about. I'm thinking about how we're going to stop Russell Westbrook tonight in transition offense, transition defense, and how we're going to stop Kevin Durant. And I know it's boring, it's not exciting, it doesn't fit what you want to write about, to talk about today, but
What does 50 wins mean for any team? Does it say something about a team in this league when they can win 50 games in a season?
We won 50 games for how many years in Seattle and didn't win a championship, and everybody didn't. So 50 is a good benchmark, but it doesn't. At the end of the day, it's not the most important thing. What we do as far as building our program, consistency on both ends of the floor is just as important as 50 wins.
What do you see as the biggest difference between the team that won 49 games last year and this team that, with 10 games left in the season, has a chance to win 50?
Well, two guys is Corey Joseph and Bismack Biyombo has brought a lot of intensity to our team. Or at our second unit, I thought they brought grit and grime. Is the biggest difference between our team last year and this year. Last year, we just totally tried to outscore people. This year, we do have a little grit and grime when we reach in our pants and pull it out, and that's the difference between last year and this year. Is we have some tough grit, some grittiness with some of our guys.
Is there any surprise to you
with all the changes, the new faces, that this team was going to be able to win more games and everything came together, and you lose Damari for most of the year as well. Is there any surprise that they bring in Bismack, losing different guys, bringing in Scola, bringing in Corey, how fast everything came together and winning more games than the previous two?
No, again, we're doing the same thing defensively, offensively, same philosophy, consistency, talking about it, preaching it, building it. I think it says a little bit about our program that we taking steps. Ryan, everybody wants to skip a letter of the alphabet, but you got to take steps in this league. And believe me, you look back on the history of San Antonio, they took steps. Look at all the successful programs in this league or college or whatever league you want to look at. They took steps to get where they want to go. It wasn't unless you go out and bring in 3 Hall of Fame players. Now, you can do it that way, but that doesn't last long. But the way we've done it, build it organically, develop a guy like DeMar DeRozan, Valanciunas, Terrence Ross, bring in a young guy like Kyle and let him grow with the program. And then, like you said, bring in different pieces as we go along. It's a process, and I think our guys have taken that. We've taken steps going to where we need to go.
Both Lewis and DeMar were in here talking about the importance of getting past the first round of the playoffs. That's the hump that this team has to get over. Can that become a big hump when 2 years in a row you were expected to win in the first round and didn't?
Well, again, I go back. We were 1 shot away in the first 2 years ago. People forget about that. We were right there knocking on the door against a team that I don't know, basketball people wouldn't favor us over Brooklyn. Record-wise, we were above them. But so, again, getting into the playoffs, performing well, for me is huge. I mean, there's no question about that. But, again, I don't think that's going to say what this team has accomplished, who they are, the steps we've taken forward is not going to measure that. But again, it's always important to advance in the playoffs, especially after last year. And I consider last year a failure just because of the way we were spanked by Washington. The first year of that, you're a shot away, a possession away of winning. So again, I think I would argue with anyone, our program is going in the right direction. To get to where we need to go of building a championship, consistent championship program.
How's Terrence doing?
He's sore, but we'll see what we're going to do.